Listen to the vibes.
The views and opinions of our guests may not necessarily reflect those of the host or the Vibes Broadcast Network. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Listen to the Vibes. And I'm very happy to have Miss Damla Aktekin here. I'm going to get it down perfect eventually, I promise. But anyway, she is an inner child energetic wound healer, crystal healing teacher, and a writer. And we're going to learn a little bit about her, a little bit about that, and have a great conversation. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, hello, everyone. Hello, Kyla. Happy to be here. Well, I am, like you said, mainly a vibrational healer, and I work with what I call energetic wounds, which there are these places in us, in our physical and energetic bodies, that keep records of time. Anything that hasn't been life-affirming and life-confirming for you will leave a little mark there. And what I've discovered, though, is that there's also elements of unrealized potentiality in those areas of energetic wounds. What I call your inner children, your inner spark, continues to live there. And it's possible to go into those places and actually connect with that potential and make it shine a little brighter. And that's mainly what I do.
Well, I have to say that there's like a part of me that feels like it's ready to break out, and it's still kind of suppressed. I think that some of the traumas that I endured as a child, and bullying, different things like that, it's affected me quite a bit, even in my adult years. Even though I'm not in that same mindset that I used to be in, where I felt like a victim all the time. I refuse to be a victim, but I still feel like there's something that needs to come out, and for people to really see who I am underneath. Would you be able to help me with that?
I would love to. Would you like to go do a little exploration right now with me?
Oh, that'd be wonderful. Really.
Okay. So close your eyes for me. And taking your gaze into your body, and all you're looking for is where your body is taking you to right now. And you can tell me where that is.
Right now, it's right in this room.
Yeah, but we're going to go a little deeper into like underneath your skin. And it could be that you notice a sensation at some part more than another, or simply your attention is going there. Where in your body would that be?
Right now, it's kind of in my chest and in my stomach.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you to choose one of those places. Which one would you like to choose?
My chest, please.
Yeah. And as you stay with this, all we're doing is we're sort of noticing, we're getting acquainted with this part. If you were to describe it to me as a material, as a thing, what does it look like, this sensation in your chest?
Ooh. Wow, that's going to be hard to describe. Like a material thing. It's almost like I guess you say, how barber shears, how they buzz. It's kind of like that.
Is it metal? What is it exactly?
It's a metal and plastic combination.
Okay. Is it like organized lattice, or does it feel like it's more random?
I would say random.
Yeah. Is it heavy or light?
I kind of describe it as in between.
Yeah. Sharp or smooth?
Well, it'd be smooth.
Shiny or rusty?
Shiny.
It's shiny. Is it a pleasant feeling to have it there?
Oh, yes.
It's pleasant to have it there.
Mm-hmm.
How long has it been there?
It comes and goes, but since I was a kid,
How old?
I want to say around 4.
Okay. So I want you to imagine that you can see at the very heart of this metal formation. And can you see your 4-year-old self there at the very heart?
Actually, I can.
Yeah. Can you look into his eyes and can you tell me what emotion you sense from him?
Excuse me. Ooh, there's um, there's an easiness there, and I want to say a calmness, a feeling of security.
Yeah. So he feels safe inside of this, for lack of a better word, cage.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not that would you say that he created this himself around him to be safe?
I think it was more introduced.
Introduced.
Mhm.
Yeah, I see. Um, who in his life had a similar formation?
A similar formation. Gosh, I wouldn't be able to say.
Yeah. Mom or dad or someone else?
Well, I would say mom probably introduced it.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you say, would he be willing to let this go?
That feeling. Oh no,
No. So
no.
he feels very safe here. Okay.
Mhm.
Let's just ask him, is there anything he wants or needs you to know?
Okay. Um, the what I seem to be getting is to be more cautious, be more aware.
Yeah. So it seems to me there's a purpose to this formation in your life. It was put there for a reason. Um, we're not going to go that much further today, but I just want you to, would you mind giving him something? And this could be an object, this could be a word, this could be a hug, to let him know how grateful you are that he's holding on to this to protect you.
Okay. I
What
give
would
him
you
a,
like to, what would you like to give him?
I give him a hug.
Yeah. And how does that feel, the hug?
It feels really good. It's very comforting.
Yeah. Let's also send, can we send a thank you, a gratitude to the mom for introducing a pattern that helped you survive? Yeah.
Oh, thank you, mom.
Yeah. Was that easy to do
Uh, I'm. It,
or a
I'd
little
say
confusing?
it was a little bit difficult.
Yeah. 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 So we're going to leave it here, Kyle, for now, but let's just say thank you to the kid. And two things. I mean, it was very easy for you to get to identify what was in your heart, and then how old was the version of you in your heart, right?
Yeah, that was probably 4 and 5 were about the happiest years I think I had.
Yeah, you didn't hesitate. You knew, and that's my experience too with most people. They just know. And then the second thing is, there is more to explore there. When I tuned into your energy, I was sensing third chakra left, which has to do with your spleen, which carries your mom's energy. So there's more to explore there, which I think would be better suited in a more, how should I put it? In a place where you can be a little bit more vulnerable.
Right,
Does that
right.
make sense? Because you were like, no, I'm not going to let go of the, the metal yet. And that's completely fine. That's completely fine. So I would want to see, if we were to take this further, I would want to see, okay, how much of this metal is yours and how much is your mom's, that you may have taken on as a way to honor her, this protectiveness. And I would also ask the question to you and your inner children, like, what else might be possible?
Yeah. I've not hid it. I've told the story many times on the show that I'd been molested as a little kid, and it's brought on some insecurities. I get irritated with myself quite a bit because I always feel like I'm not doing good enough. I'm always screwing up. Everything's my fault, and I know there's an ego behind that. I talked to my preacher years ago, and it's like you think so highly of yourself that you think everything's your fault. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense to me, because I feel like I'm being hard on myself. But I mean, there seems to be some truth to that, huh?
So notice I didn't ask you anything. Thank you for sharing your story. And it seems to me you're very open about your story, and that's valuable. Before the work, notice I didn't ask you, I didn't need to know your story, because you telling me there's like a metal cage that your child lives in your heart tells me everything I need to know. And before we hopped on, you were telling me about, if I can mention that, you were telling me about a possible credit card issue you were dealing with, that I feel like there's a level of protectiveness that's also here because of what you're going through at this moment in time. So there is nothing wrong with protectiveness, except if it's blocking a certain level of flow in your life, which I feel it might be in this case. So like I said, it would take a little bit more further investigation.
Gotcha.
To look into, but I'm not looking for, what I'm not looking for is to fix you, to change you, but to ask, okay, like, this is the pattern that got introduced to your life. And it was very much needed at the time, from all the things you've described: abuse, trauma, bullying. And the question becomes, do I want my inner child to live in a cage, or can I offer him another way? Maybe ease that a little bit. And for you to be able to do that, you need to feel safe in your entire body. So that takes on a whole other journey, if that makes sense.
And this not only works with mental healing or emotional healing, but physical healing as well.
Well, you felt a sensation in your heart, didn't you?
Oh, yes, I did.
Yeah. And how did it feel when you hugged your child?
Well, I feel really good right now, to be honest with you.
Exactly. So it's your the inner children, and I call them inner children because there are records of multiple timelines and your multiple versions stored in you as quantum potentials. So it's very physical, but it's also beyond that.
Yeah, it's hard to describe when I get that feeling. And then usually this feeling comes on when someone with abilities is trying to connect with me. I get that every time. So I always know when somebody's either faking it or if they're the real deal. My problem lately is I've been falling back into a depression. I don't handle change very well, and some things are starting to change that I really don't like at all. Almost like I'm going backwards, and I need to keep moving forwards if I want things to continue to grow and to be prosperous. I mean, what if I came to you and I said, well, what kind of crystals would I need to help me with that?
So you'll go right there. Okay, first of all, let me say, you said it yourself. Then I asked, is this a pleasant feeling to have this metal, this like randomly shaped metal around your 4-year-old in your heart? And you said, yeah, it's comfortable. Because that's the level of comfort you lived with for so long. Your system doesn't either doesn't quite remember or hasn't been exposed to another level of being, which would be even more comfortable than that, even more beautiful than that. So change is hard because change is danger. Change is what if something unexpected happens? What if something you've encountered before happens? I think one thing for you to remember is that you've been through all that and you're here. And it sounds to me from what you described to me, you talked to me about your wife, you talked to me about what you're creating in the world with these shows. You've been able to find meaningful relationships in your life and create meaningful things in your life. So I would remind you of those things. And I would also say it might take for you to hug that inner child every day, multiple times. Every time you're feeling like a little bit like, ugh, like the heaviness. But that's not the heaviness of your inner self. That's the heaviness of all the burdens, all the patterns. Like, what if when you feel that, you go into that heart space and you hug that child again, or you ask him, maybe he needs a different thing. Maybe he needs a drink at some, not like alcoholic, but you give him this magical cup of water that will help him feel better, like in your mind's eye. You know what I mean? So it takes daily connection, and it takes you getting back there and again and again. And perhaps it will take someone like me or someone you trust to go in to that flesh again and to say again, what else is possible? Because when something is holding on to that pattern and you told me like, it feels good, Damla. That's that to me, what it says is not that it feels good. That to me is, it's been there and I'm comfortable. I've gotten used to it. And now you're telling me, I want to know something else. I want to expand my business. I want to expand my consciousness. So those two things need to talk to each other and find the middle ground for you to feel protective enough so that you can take the next steps.
Gotcha.
Can I tell you, actually, I'll leave it to you. And then there's one thing that's been coming up before we connected that I want to tell people, but go ahead.
Well, I've talked to several different people that either work with physical healing, like with touch, things like that. I've talked to people that use crystals. That there's a lot of different people out there that do things different, but the ones that have things that are similar, I get different answers from. And so I guess I'm curious because I wanted to know, is it just work differently for different people, or how does that work?
The inner child healing, you mean?
Yeah, well, healing in general.
Of course. I mean, we're all at different levels of constriction and openness, and we all go through cycles of being inwards versus being outwards. And then what trauma does is it keeps you stuck in a certain, like an inward protection mode, that you don't even remember what it feels to be open. It's normal to be open and then to close to protect yourself, but it's not normal to keep stuck in a certain closed pattern. So you were pretty open to this. Like the moment I asked, like, who's there? How old is it? You said 4-year-old me. It could be that if someone hasn't been exposed to this kind of work, or they haven't even entered into the realm of their bodies and their trauma history yet, they may not be able to identify their sensations in the body. They may not be able to see themselves in the sensation. or to even open up a conversation. So that would take us to work on building that trust between them and their bodies and me, to say, okay, it's okay to look. Sometimes even looking can be painful. So yeah, there are different stages. And then to answer your question about crystals, which is another realm, which I do get the help of crystals as I'm tuning into a person, because when we're doing this kind of interactive work, I'm also sort of holding the energetic space with the help of crystals, and crystals take the place of the body. Crystals to me they entered into my life at a time when I needed the most healing. I was a new mom and I was sort of spiraling down. And I just stumbled upon a crystal video on YouTube, and that piqued my interest. I started to explore them. Long story short, they became, my understanding of crystals is this. I realized along the way that I am a crystal. Bones made up of 65% of more minerals, eyes 95% water, liquid crystal, DNA is liquid crystal, your fascia, your connective tissue looks a lot like a quartz crystal and behaves like one. You can create a piezoelectric charge when you touch your body, and you can create a piezoelectric touch when you touch a crystal. And in my experience, you can create a similar charge through intention in the human bodies or in a crystal as well. Think of someone you love. Like you can immediately feel that sensation. So that's you creating a charge in your body, a different way of being in your body through your intention. And I also realized that crystals have been around for millennia. They are the ancestors. They're the ancestors. They are wisdom keepers. They have a much longer life than us. They're the building blocks of the universe. So as such, they have a longer view, and we're the more liquid and evolving, quickly evolving and changing, and like short-lived counterparts. So now when I encounter a crystal, and even from the beginning, I don't say, what are you good for? What can you do for me? What's the use for me? I say, here's this sacred structure that is so similar to me that I could call it my relative, my kin, my ancestor. So I approach them with reverence, with respect, with love. And then I say, here's me, here's my energy. And if you're open to it, like I'm greeting you in your energy, how can we, and I'm open to us sort of blending our energies together and finding a new way of co-creating reality. So the question isn't, I'm not looking for a particular use, and I don't like that word, use, when it comes to crystals or to people or inner children. What I'm looking for is connection and co-creating through a common intention.
Okay. Well, it's funny because when we've gone to a shop that has crystals, my wife is always telling me, pick one that resonates with you. And I don't know what it is. I mean, is it psychosomatic? Is it, or am I really feeling this is what the crystal that I need?
What do you think?
It's hard to describe because I could look at a whole bunch of them. Most of them look close to the same, but there'll be that one that just some reason my eye connects to that one.
Yeah. Here's my explanation of it. When you're drawn to a particular crystal or crystals, you are looking for aspects of yourself you want to hold in your hands and to explore, because that's what really they are to me. They represent us. They are us. If you think about the oneness in the universe, they are us. And how incredible is it that nature has created these versions of us that we can hold, we can revere, we can admire, we can touch, even in times that it's hard to do that for our bodies and for ourselves. And through that loving connection with a crystal, you can actually begin to learn to love yourself.
Wow. Another thing that had popped into my head was I am a paranormal investigator, and we've gone to certain houses where you'll have something that happens over and over again. And from what I've learned and my understanding, like the wood, sometimes stones, different things like that, almost makes a recording of someone, and you'll see that moment at that specific time of day or night happen over and over and over again. Is this true for crystals?
Yes, and what's in the wood? Wood has plant DNA. DNA is crystalline. What's in the rock? Minerals, crystalline. I mean, if you begin to look at the world that way, I mean, even air, there's bacteria and viruses in it, which have particles of DNA. So again, crystalline. So anything crystalline can hold, store information. Crystals in particular, I'm talking about quartz or quartz-like, the ones that have repeating geometrically uniform patterns in them, can also take in information. They can cohere it, they can amplify it, and they can focus it like a laser. So if I have the intention of like loving myself, and I don't have like a truly coherent, energetic soup yet, I'm somewhat like chaotic, I could get the help of a crystal to take that thought, that intention in, to amplify it, and then to focus it into places in my body that need it the most. And yes, I mean, that's what I mean. When you connect and form a relationship with a single crystal, you're forming a relationship with an entire species, like the whole rose quartz species, which is why you don't necessarily need a huge crystal. And also you could potentially connect with the entire crystal queendom. Similar to that, you could connect with your soul family, your entire human species. I mean, the possibilities are endless. You could also connect through a crystal, what I call with radio stations. Like if I want to know what next project I'm going to be working on, what next writing, I might say, okay, help me connect to my creative channel. And then they're sort of like these translators too. They take your intention to the subtle realms, translate it, and then they take the translation from the subtle realms into you.
Well, it's my understanding that crystals work on a frequency or a vibration. Is that what I'm gathering from you?
I mean, everything's vibration. You are vibration. On the subatomic level, you are strings of light that come in and out of existence in a probability cloud. So am I. So is air. So is this chair. And that to me is represented in the sound of Om, which is the seed sound of the universe. So name of my website and business is A Drop of Om. We're all droplets of Om swimming in a sea of Om. So yes, we all are vibrating.
Yes. Why did you decide to start helping people with this inner child thing? And I mean, what made that your single focus?
I didn't initially. Initially, first of all, I was doing the crystal healing for me. And then that turned into a few sessions for my family, which were really potent, which then led me to offering it to people one-on-one, and then to group healings. And fast forward like 10 years, this is where I am. And initially what I did was during the crystal healing, I would guide people to sense and feel things in their bodies. And over time, I realized there's a lot of information there. And I kept seeing, when I asked people, like, how long has this been here? Like, how old were you when this first got here? they would just give me an age, and it would mostly be like younger than 18. And that piqued my curiosity. And then through that exploration, I came to realize that there's many, many, many inner children in us that are waiting to connect with us.
Yeah, there's definitely one in me that wants to expand, and I'm feeling like I'm getting there, but world just throws stuff at you, and it seems like every step you take forward, you take 2 steps back. And I don't want to be in that mode. Just some things are really hard to handle.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'd like to think of it like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, Joe. So everything you do is still going to get you close, because it's a spiraling growth. Sometimes the spiral climbs up higher, like there's a big jump, but then sometimes the spiral is going slowly and it feels like you're in the same circle when you look from the top. But it's really, there's a slow progression upwards, always evolution. So keep doing what you're doing. Don't lose hope.
I'm not going to lose hope, but I tell you, it's very difficult to stay in a positive mindset when just one thing after another, and there's so much negativity going on in the world, and it seems to amplify everything else. I have been told that because of the way that I've handled trauma and difficulties in the past, that I still push forward and I'm able to overcome. But I don't feel
hard.
It's getting more difficult. And I mean, I'm not unique in that sense. There's a lot of people out there that do that, but then there's a lot that just give up, and then they, for I guess a lack of a better term, they end themselves. And I think it's when they give up hope. We saw a lot of that during the pandemic. There was 2 in our neighborhood just that first year, and that's sad. And we need to bring positivity out there. Do you have like a ritual, I guess you'd say, to maybe bring some more positivity into the world?
Yeah, first of all, I don't call it positivity,
Mm-hmm.
because that implies what you're going through is wrong. It's not. You are someone who had to use more electrical resources because you went through an electrical storm and you had to move out of it, which meant in later stages of your life, what you're saying, things getting heavier, is you having fewer electrical resources, like fewer lights inside to handle what light. So what's coming at you is life. That's going to keep coming at you. What makes a difference is what reserves you have, inner and outer resources. The work that I do, I liken to going into your body, your flesh, and I see this inner light, inner night sky that's beautiful and filled with like millions and millions of little lights. Okay, those are your inner sparks, the inner children that couldn't be realized. They had to be put on hold for whatever reason. And then trauma is the clouds in that inner light that sort of dim the lights, that give you less fuel available in the here and now. So your work is to realize you're not the clouds, you're not the trauma, you're the light underneath. And how can you bring more light to yourself? Not necessarily positivity, but what lights you up? What you're doing today lights you up, right?
It does.
Talking to a friend lights you up. Leaning towards or moving towards things that light you up. In the meantime, finding ways to disperse the clouds within, with or without help.
Okay, let's talk about your teaching. So do you teach people how to do this?
I am in the process of creating like an 8-week program that'll teach people more how to do this, with a caveat. Can I tell you a myth?
Sure.
That was what was coming up. Okay, people ask me all the time, so inner child healing, you help people with this. Obviously, I can't be available to everyone and everybody. Like, how can people do this themselves? Which is why I'm going to tell you the myth of the descent of Inanna. Inanna is this Sumerian goddess. And the myth is she decides to go into the underworld. So the underworld is your subconscious and your body, the flesh. If you think of underworld, underneath the earth, earth is your body. So Inanna, being the goddess and the queen of the overworld that she is, decides to go to the underworld. She wants to go and see a certain thing. And she dresses, she puts her garment, she puts her crystal necklace, crystal ring, crystal, rod, and a beautiful, dress, whatever. And she gets to the gate of the underworld, and the gatekeepers say, you have to leave a garment to get to the next stage. And she does. And they say, you have to leave your necklace to get to the next gate. And she does. And she goes through 7 gates, like the 7 chakras. She leaves something behind, and she is completely naked at the end when she enters the underworld. And the queen of the underworld captures her. To be able to come out, she gets help from these two creatures that another god creates for her, that are genderless, so they're neutral. And they come down to the underworld, and they see the queen of the underworld giving birth. Ereshkigal, the queen of the underworld, is giving birth. And they're instructed to say certain things. And the queen of the underworld says, my belly is in pain. And these two beings say, oh, how she's in pain, how much she's in pain in her belly. And then she says, my back is in pain. And they say, oh my God, how much her back hurts. And then the queen of the underworld says, who are these people who are echoing my pain? I will give you whatever you want. And then they get Inanna, and she comes back and she comes alive. So first of all, to get to the underworld of your being, to get to that night sky in you, you can get there, you can close your eyes, but then there are certain gates where you need to be vulnerable. It's a vulnerable process. And second of all, to be able to do this, you need to have identified and made allies with the parts of you who are neutral, empathic observers, who can empathize, not take on your pain, but neutrally observe and empathize, read back to your pain, which were the two beings were doing with the queen Ereshkigal. They were saying, I see your pain, I hear your pain. So, and then if you have that ability to empathize, to show compassion to the painful parts of you, and to be vulnerable in the face of pain, then with that empathy, with that compassion, you can go in and you can come out. In the case of extreme trauma, it's really, really hard to do this just by yourself. So please get help. But it's a skill that you can develop. It's also a skill around developing the right language to relate to your inner realms.
Yes.
Does this answer your question? So yes, with a little bit of skill development and with a lot of compassionate awareness.
Now, is there some kind of entity that gives a certification for this kind of skill?
I mean, there's a lot of people who work with inner children. This is my way that's coming out of honestly through my inner work and through the work that I do with people. So currently, no, I don't offer certifications.
Well, I just
Or,
wondered if anybody did. I mean, I know they do for psychics, so I was wondering if they
yeah.
did for energy healing and crystal healing.
Well, for crystal healing, I do have an online course called Crystal Healing Simplified that people can take. I also offer a crystal healing membership where you can receive 3 new crystal healing sessions, and I do a lot of guidance around it in the membership. The inner child healing, like I said, I'm working on a live healing, again, live group training, if you will, because there's a lot there that needs compassionate guidance. Like, I don't want to tell people, here, this, do these 2 meditations and you'll be done. It doesn't quite work like that.
Right.
It's a more tricky terrain. With crystals, you can explore, you can have fun. With crystals, you can do deeper healing work too, but they can be a lot more fun. But with the underworld, you got to be more wise where you're stepping.
Yeah, you got to have some tough skin too.
Possibly.
Yeah. All right. And so you're a writer as well?
Yeah. I have been writing a blog as long as I remember. I've written 4 self-healing practice journals. There are sort of these guided journeys that you can take. One of them is a crystal healing journal. It's a 21-day practice you can do by yourself, and I guide you through that step by step. And another one is a mantra healing journal and a gratitude journal. And I have a few other things, like I'm writing about crystals. And so, yeah, writing is my way of making sense of all of this in a way.
I can understand. But anyway, now you said you had a website.
I do. It's called adropofom.com, adropofom.com. And people can go, there's a free resources area where you can take a quiz. And it's a free quiz where you can find what your energetic wounds might be. That would be the sort of entry point. And then there are a few other resources there. I have a crystal healing myths free mini online course. And you can find me as a drop of Om on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all the good places.
And I'm sure people are going to be curious if they wanted to get a hold of you and get a crystal healing. About what do you usually charge?
That's a great question. I mean, it's, again, my membership is very affordable.
Mm-hmm.
It's currently $20 per month. And with that, you get a monthly energy clearing for your system and for your energy space, look like your physical space. And I do 1 focused healing per month. And then for my one-on-one sessions, you can see all the pricing. It's currently $222 for 1 session, but then I have discounts if you get multiple sessions. And my members get a 50% off a single session. So if you are a member of the Crystal Healing Chakra Bliss Vault membership, you can try one of my private sessions half off.
So do you have any words of wisdom to leave us before we go?
I mean, I always say be gentle with yourself, because it takes just what you described to us at the beginning, something like that takes a lot of patience and a lot of gentleness to move through and be with. And don't force anything, unless you're working with someone like me who knows how to sort of perhaps push the limits a little bit and help you feel safe. If you know how to do that just by yourself, by all means, but it's more about patience and gentleness when it comes to wound healing.
Gotcha. Well, thank you. I appreciate your time, and I look forward to talking to you again in the future. And everyone out there, If you are new to the channel, I want to thank you for stopping by, and please subscribe. If you are a regular, thank you for your support. It's because of you that we do what we do. So until the next one, everyone, please take care. Be kind to one another. God bless and peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Listen to the Vibes. You can catch us on Buzzsprout or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook at The Vibes Broadcast Network